Hey, it's Liz from No Trace. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make an adorable little quilt for a miniature bed like a dollhouse. If you click on the description below, you'll find a link to our free Facebook group where we share zero waste sewing and crafting projects, so I'd love to see you over there. Now, this project is an awesome way to use up really small scraps of fabric and to make a sweet little gift for someone in your life or just for yourself. And if you also want to make the matching pillows, I have a tutorial on how to make the mini pillows, so I'm going to link to that tutorial right here. So check that out too. In order to make the mini quilt, you're gonna need 5 strips of fabric that are each 2 inches wide and 6 inches tall. And I've just picked a mix of prints that go nicely with my little mini pillows. You're also gonna need a piece that measures 8 inches wide and 6 inches tall. This is going to be the back side of the mini quilt. You could also piece this together with more scraps, but I'm just going to use a single piece of fabric for the back side of the little mini quilt. The first step to sewing your mini quilt is to line up the strips in the order that you want them to appear on your mini quilt. And then we're just going to be stitching these strips together 2 at a time by placing the right sides together and then sewing them with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You could pin them if you want. If you're not so worried about them moving around on you, you can just take them over to the machine and hold them together and stitch them, which is what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and stitch these 2 strips of fabric together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And you do wanna make sure to back stitch at the start and the stop. Now that these 2 are stitched together, I'm gonna go ahead and bring over another strip and place it with the right sides together, and then stitch these 2 strips again with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so 3 are stitched together. Now I'm going to bring over my 4th piece and put it right sides together and just repeat that process. Once all of your strips are sewn together, what you'll want to do is flip it over, take it to the iron, and then press open these seams so that they lay nice and flat on your little mini quilt. So just open the seams and then get your iron in there and apply a little heat, and they should lay nice and flat. And this will just help the quilt to lay a little more flat on the bed, or I should say it'll help the quilt not be so stiff on the mini bed, wherever you decide to put it. Whoops. Once it's all pressed, now we're ready to get our back side of the quilt and lay it with the right side facing this panel that we just made. This is a solid, so there's no right or wrong. But we want to go ahead and line it up, and then we're going to be stitching this together all the way around, leaving an opening of about 3 inches on one of these short ends. Now you could pin this if you want. I'm just going to take it to the machine and stitch all the way around. I'm going to start on one of the short sides, and I want to be able to see my quilted panel because it's actually about 1/8 of an inch short on both sides, which is fine. Otherwise you have to measure strips that are like 1.8 inches or something. So we just want to be mindful of the difference in size there and do a little back stitch at the start. And then just go all the way around with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. All right, so we've stitched all the way around and we left an opening of about 2 or 3. I tried to do 3 inches, but I think that's more like 2.5 inches. And now what we're gonna do is turn the whole thing right side out and get ready to finish it up. You'll probably want a chopstick to get into the corners and get those pushed out so that they look a little bit more like a corner and not so much like a rounded edge. All right. Oh, it's so cute. So what we're going to do next is press this opening close. Actually, we're going to press all the way around this little mini quilt, and then we're just going to do a top stitch of about a 1/8 inch seam allowance all the way around the little mini quilt. We do want to push these seams out a little bit to make sure that we are getting the full surface area of this cute little quilt. And then we'll go ahead and iron and press this seam flat. Okay, we're going to start over at the open spot on our little adorable mini quilt and just go all the way around with about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And I'm not going to back stitch when I start my seam here. I'm coming back to where I started my stitches, and what I want to do is just go over my original stitches a couple times and then reverse, so I have just a little visible back stitching on the top here. There we go. So it should look sort of like that. The last step is to trim any loose threads, and then your little mini quilt is done. It's so cute. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to click the link in the description box below to join our free Facebook group on zero waste sewing and crafting. I'd love to see you over there. This is a great space where you can share projects that you're working on or that you want to work on. I really hope this little mini quilt project inspires you to put some of your small scraps of fabric to use to create something fun and beautiful. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and to subscribe to the No Trace channel to get notified about all of our videos. We put out a new video every single week on zero waste sewing, crafting, and lifestyle tips. So I'll see you again very soon.